In this episode, we're talking all things creative and how to make incredibly high converting video ads for your brand. You're listening to The Liftoff Show, the podcast for ambitious e-commerce entrepreneurs, helping you increase sales, profits, and build a powerhouse brand fast. I'm your host, Austin Lovell, and welcome to the show. Welcome to episode 2 of the Liftoff Show. And what we're going to be doing today is really diving into creative and how to create high converting video ads for your brand, even if you've never done it before, have no idea where to start, or maybe you've used video ads in the past and they just haven't worked all that well. I'm going to be showing you back to front, literally everything that we do here at Crafted and that I've come across, building brands and working with a whole bunch of e-commerce stores. And just opening sort of the playbook so you can see from start to finish how to make these video ads and sort of the things that we keep in mind as we're creating these ads as well. Because I think the context is almost infinitely more important than the final creative. And what I mean by that is Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat, Pinterest, any platform, any social media platform that you or your customers might be using, they're native advertising platforms. And what that means is people are on these platforms to consume content. They're there to consume content, posts from people they know, posts from brands, posts from anywhere. They're there to consume the content. They're not there to consume ads. And as soon as we sort of made this paradigm shift and I started thinking about it in that way, all of a sudden the types of creative that you're trying to put out there, the types of ads that you're trying to run for your brand change overnight. You start going from ads that blatantly look like ads. Someone would see them, know they're an ad straight away, and then just dismiss them and keep scrolling. And that's often why you have terrible click-through rates and very poor ROAS. And that's why you often not get many sales from campaigns because the ads that you're using just aren't native. They look like ads. They're too ad-like and too salesy, and people don't like that from what I've seen. So the opposite approach to go and the way to really combat that, and I call it sort of swimming with the current of these social media platforms, is to create ads that don't look like ads. And how you do that is by making them look like native content. And if I was to backtrack and if I was to go back in time when I first started Crafted, and before it was called Crafted, it was called T- and then Offset before that. And right at the early stages, it was sort of August of 2020 when I was first getting started in the e-commerce space when it came to video ads. I experimented before, but nothing really serious. And what I was trying to do back then was I was looking at all these incredible brands out there. You're looking at Magic Spoon, you're looking at Ritual, you're looking at, Udi, you're looking at, a whole bunch of incredible brands all over the place. And there's so many to list. And what I was seeing with some of their ads, they were just so well put together. And I thought, this is incredible. This high quality of video ad, I just look at it and coming from a video background, I'd look at it and think, this is amazing. I'd just be in awe of the quality. And that was sort of, take my attention away. I'd be looking at it from sort of a video perspective rather than an advertising perspective and what actually works. So I sort of fell into this trap, I'd say, of trying to make video ads that, were really high production value, that looked incredible. And for someone who was a videographer or someone who had any idea about video, they'd look at it and say, this was very, very well done. But as you know, unless you're marketing a product to that audience, those aren't the ads that are generally going to convert as well. And if you look through your feed now, and I think the statistics are crazy. I think it's every 4 posts on Facebook and Instagram are ads from brands. And it's a crazy statistic. So if you're scrolling through your feed and you take some time to do this, you'll notice that the ads that I'd say generally grab your attention are the ones that don't look like ads most of the time. They look native. They look like a post that maybe your brother or sister, that your mom or your dad or your spouse or a friend or a colleague or someone's posted that's pretty natural. And those seem to be the ads that we found for our clients especially and the brands that we're building. Those kind of video ads convert infinitely better than the other stuff. Especially at top of funnel because, as I said, they're raw, they're real, they're authentic. They look like they were made by a customer, and all of a sudden it just smashes those objections out of the water about it being this ad from this brand that's just trying to sell me something. More or less, we just stick with this native ad type, which I'm going to be diving into in this episode and really how to craft these video ads so that they don't look like ads, that they grab people's attention. They're real scroll stoppers and they just work so incredibly well, especially at top of funnel, which is, I sort of see it as the main goal. If we can be ultra profitable at top of funnel, if you can build this machine where you can put in $1 and get $3, $4, $5 back out every single time with your, with your campaigns, why wouldn't you want to keep putting dollars into it? I'd sit at that machine all day and keep putting dollars in. So I'm going to be walking you through how to craft this creative. And if we jump straight into it, I've just noticed that the types of creative really split into 3 buckets. And when we're talking creative, we're talking anything that's used in an ad campaign. That's what I'm referring to as creative. So I sort of see it as 3 buckets. We've got BCG, brand generated content. These are the high production videos. These are the ones that, my team and I were making early on. This is what I was trying to create in my apartment last year by myself, using a turntable to get these rotating product shots with this, white background, that was a sheet off Amazon, and just trying to get these like really crispy ads that looks like they're made in a studio. And so I sort of call that brand generated content. Really high quality, looks like there was a lot of time and effort put behind it. And you can see that in the way it's shot, the quality of the video content and all of that. And then as we sort of move down, the next type I like to look at it is UGC. It's user generated content. This is created by customers. Could be video ads, it could be photos, could be anything submitted by the customers of your brand. And what's great about this is that it's real, that it's raw, that it's authentic, because it's created by your customers. And then if we move one step further down, we look at it and I call it CGC. And this is creator generated content. And the thing with UGC, yes, it is raw. Yes, it's real. Yes, it was made by customers, but sometimes it can be quite limiting in the fact that you can't really control what's said. A customer could submit an incredible review video and then someone else, another customer, might submit something that's not very good. And you don't really have control over what that final product will look like. And if it's a customer review video, chances are you're not going to be able to control what they say. They're just going to send it in if you run a competition, a giveaway, or maybe they just post something online because they love your product and brand so much. You're not going to be able to control what's said in those video reviews. And when it comes to ads, when it comes to having high converting creative, you want to make sure that you're really putting your best foot forward in the creative. And what I mean by that is whatever is being said in the video ads, you want to make sure that it's highlighting the key, value propositions of your product and of your brand. You want to make sure that what's being said is actually really engaging people and it's grabbing people's attention and it's making sure that they understand the value of the product so then they go ahead and buy. So how we do that is with CGC. And if we've got to dive into CGC in a bit more detail, ultimately, it's like UGC. You're still giving someone a product to try, to use, to experience, but then you're guiding the production process a bit more. And that's what we do here at Crafted, is using these creators. We say they could be everyday people. They could be, they could be freelance models. They could be, micro influencers, but generally, they're everyday people. They could be a friend of someone. They could be someone's mum or dad or sister or brother. It doesn't really matter at all. The people in the footage look like customers, and that's what we want. So when creating CGC, we sort of break it down into 3 parts. So now that I've told you a bit about why it's so effective and, just to give you an idea as to the results, we've been using CGC across all of the different brands that we're working with right now, and especially for our own brands. And the results are just through the roof. And I think, look, you can look at it, on a micro scale, you might see that there's one sort of high production value ad that gets incredible results. But overall, like the overwhelming majority of the high performing ads, I'm talking the ones with a ROAS of, 3, 4 plus consistently, they're generally the ones that are CGC style, very raw, very real. And it's a bit of an asymmetry if you think about it, that you could spend less time, that you could, not have to spend as much money to create these video ads, and then they just perform better. It's a huge asymmetry that you don't have to spend a ridiculous sum of money just to have high converting creative for your brand. And that's exactly what CGC is. So if we break down how to go ahead and actually create CGC video ads for your brand, I break it down into 3 phases. And the first one is you got to find the creators. You got to find the people who you want to represent your brand. And that could be by using Instagram. You could just look at hashtags. You could look at local locations where you think your ideal customer is going to be hanging out. And then you can go ahead, reach out to them and say, hey, would you be open to shooting some video content or some photos for my brand? And in exchange, I'll pay you X amount, or I'll give you some free product as well. And we find that if they're in your ideal target customer demographic, which is the type of creators that you want to use in the videos, chances are they're going to be super open to it. You might reach out to, 100 or maybe it's 50 using Instagram, just, sliding in their DMs. And you'll find that a significant portion of them will reply. Of course, you're not going to expect if you reach out to 100 people that 100 people actually get back to you. It's sort of a numbers game when you're trying to find creators. And I guess it's the same with finding influencers or finding anything via DM. Not everybody is going to respond, but that's why you got to reach out to a fair number of them. So after you've got your creator, you've got someone who is in your ideal target, customer demographic. They look like your ideal target customer and, probably is because they are, and they've agreed to shoot some content for your brand. Obviously, what you want to do then is go ahead and ship your product to them. You want to get the product in their hands. And the other part of step 2 is to give them a script to follow. And the main approach that we like to do here, ultimately, you're just trying to make it as easy as possible for the creators. You want to give them, just a step-by-step action plan. So once they get your product, once they have some time to record the selfie review video and take a few selfies and photos with your product that you can use, you want to make sure that it's super easy for them. You want to make sure that there's no stone left unturned. You want to give them a super easy to follow step-by-step script. And you don't want to go too scripted here. It's a trap that we sort of fell into early on. Because if you go too scripted, then you end up, having the same reaction as BCG content when someone sees it on their feed. They see it and they think, this is an ad. Sounds like an ad. It's too scripted. There's no way this is a real customer. And that's not it's not the reaction that we want. The reaction we want when they see one of the video ads is to look at it and say, wow, I'm connecting with this. This person is speaking to me. They're highlighting the pain points that I'm actually experiencing right now. And they showed me a really cool product and I want to check it out. And that's how you go ahead and increase click-through rates. That's how you go ahead and have ultra profitable video ads. That's how you go ahead and get huge amount of sales and take your, real time-sapping, energy-wasting zombies of campaigns and turn them into these thriving campaigns that get incredible results, ridiculous ROAS and bring in loads of sales predictably. And I think that's the key thing. Once you have great creative, once you understand what people actually want to see on their feeds and what ads really grab their attention right now, then you don't have to worry about inconsistency of sales. You don't have to worry about this sort of feast and famine going up one month at these all-time highs of sales to these crushing and debilitating lows of having these terrible months where, there's no sales, where your ads just stop working overnight for some unknown reason, because Facebook obviously being, a temperamental beast that it is, you have these feasts and famines if you don't obviously use the creative that's working really well right now. And using the creative that fundamentally grabs people's attention. And we're not talking about tactics that are going to work now and then not work in the future. We're not talking about, these strategies that, will work today and tomorrow, but then as soon as you get to later in the week, you're going to be back to where you started and not working anymore. This style of CGC video ad that we call it is based on, neuromarketing. It's based on the psychological principles of attention and advertising. And it makes sense. We connect better with people when we can see their eyes. And, we can connect better with people when they're smiling and, builds this positive emotion in the video ads. We can connect better with people when the footage that's used in the ads looks like it was shot by a customer on someone's phone. We can connect better with all that. And we can connect when it's in a relatable and personable tone. And when the person on the other side, the person that we're watching the ad of, has actually experienced the problem that they're facing. You can connect better with someone like that. You can resonate more with them when it's like that. And that's the power of CGC Creative, is that it ticks all those boxes. And so after you've gone ahead, you've given them the product, you've written that script, which is mainly just addressing your key value propositions. It's addressing the key problem that you're really pushing out into the market and saying, hey, are you facing this problem? Is this the issue you're facing? And in the customer review video, in this CGC style video ad, you can have the creator call out that problem. It's probably a problem that they're facing right now. It's probably a problem that, they toss and turn a bed at night trying to solve and trying to think of, how do I fix this? And so if they call out to the market in this video ad and the first line they say is, I was really struggling with this issue. This was something that I didn't know how to fix. All of a sudden, you've grabbed the ideal customer's attention because it's real, because they're facing the issue that they're facing. And also, that's just a great way to grab attention, is opening that loop. It's sort of this information pain in your brain. I forgot the exact name for it. It's where you have this distance in your brain between, sort of an open loop. Someone's introduced something to you, a knowledge gap. So when someone says, hey, do you want to fix this? Or hey, I fixed this, but you don't actually tell them how, you're creating this knowledge gap. Just like I did at the start of this episode where I said, In this episode, we're going to be walking through how to create high converting video ads for your brand, even if you've never done it before. And I'm sort of opening that loop. I'm saying, hey, I didn't solve it for you right away and tell you how to do it. So you've got to listen to the episode. And I created that knowledge gap. And it's probably why you're still listening. And so that's what we want to do in the video ad scripts as well. You want to write a super simple script. It could be 3 to 5 lines. And what you can do is just give a bit of a guidance, a bit of a framework, and just let the creator speak, sort of their truth, sort of speak exactly the issue that they've been facing and how the product has solved that problem for them. And you just want to guide them on that, because as soon as you start giving them, this huge script, you lose the authentic nature. You lose that part that really connects with people. So what you can do, write a 3 to 5 line script. I like to follow the problem, agitate, solution framework. So the problem, we're calling out that problem that we know the target customer is facing. We then agitate it a bit and say why it's a bad thing, why they don't want that problem, and why it's keeping them up at night. And then you introduce your product as the solution to that problem. And that tends to be the framework that we use. In terms of sort of length for the script, around 75 words, I find is a really good benchmark. And once you grab that script, it's going to end up being about 30 to 40 seconds long, that final video ad. If you end up making about a 75 word script, it will end up being around 30, 35 seconds long in that final video ad, and that's great. And so after you've got that, you've got an incredible creator, you've found one online, maybe you've worked with a friend, someone from your team, maybe it's someone that you've never met before, but you just met them on Instagram, you slid in their DMs because you thought they're going to be a great fit for this, and I think they would be awesome for it. You've gone ahead, you've given them the product, you've given them a script to follow. The last part is obviously piecing it together the right way. And so when it comes to editing, I think there's a lot out there that overcomplicates the editing process. And with videos, you can keep it very, very simple. And with this creator-generated content, the creators are shooting this on their phone. It's raw. They don't need video experience because we want it to feel like it's from a customer. And when it comes to editing, we want the same to be true. You don't have to use a $500, $600 editing platform just to edit together great video ads. And I think that's something that, out there is a bit of a sticking point. You got this footage. It's like, okay, how do I edit it together? Do I need to find a freelancer to do this for me? Do I need to go onto Upwork or Fiverr? Or do I need to hire someone in-house to actually do this for us? And the best bet I would say is use a platform like Clipchamp. It's incredible. You basically give it all your footage. You then go ahead and piece it all together like a jigsaw. Super easy to do. Then you can export it directly from the platform. You can do that whole process in under an hour or under 30 minutes even if you're really speedy enough till you get the hang of it. And that's a great thing about sort of the online platform. So you can grab that footage, edit it together with zero video ad experience. Like you've never done it before. It's just putting together the review video. And it could be having the foundation piece, which is the actual talking part of the review. On top of that, you might include some B-roll shots. Maybe you ask the creator to shoot some short clips of them actually using the product. Say, for example, you've got a skincare product. You might have the review underneath, but on top, you might have some B-roll clips or some additional video footage of the creator actually using the product or, using the product on their skin or whatever it is. And then on top of that, you're going to put the subtitles. And when it comes to subtitles, 85%, or the last time I checked, I think it's 85% of Facebook video is watched without sound. So if you want to make sure that people are actually watching the videos, you want to make sure that people are actually watching as much of them as possible and your average video play time is above 3 to 4 seconds, then you want to make sure that you have those subtitles there. And the simple approach I like to go for is very, very, very basic subtitles. You want your subtitles because, again, we're trying to make this look as native as possible. You want the subtitles to look like the native Facebook subtitles that are used on videos. And how you do that? Just some basic white text in a font like Open Sans. Nothing complicated at all. Then you just want to use a black background behind that piece of text and make sure it's got an opacity of about 50%. So you can still see the footage underneath it, but it again looks like the native Facebook subtitles. And then from there, you simply want to grab some engaging music. And the great thing with a platform like Clipchamp is that they've got this library of awesome, pretty basic music that you can use in your video ads. And you don't need to go out there spending a whole bunch of money on commercially licensed platforms where you can get all this amazing music and, spending a lot each month, you can keep it simple and just use some free music because you want the talking part, you want the review to be the main focus of the video ad. You don't want this music that's completely out of the blue, that's too loud and you can't hear what the creator's saying. You just want the music to be in the background. So that's how you go ahead and edit them together. And then once you've done that, you simply export it. I'd recommend using the 4:5 aspect ratio to maximize screen real estate across Facebook and Instagram. And the great thing about shooting everything in vertical orientation is that you can easily, change it and adapt it to be the 9:16 vertical videos. And that opens up this huge opportunity across other advertising platforms as well, like TikTok, Pinterest, Snapchat, if your ideal customers are hanging out on those platforms. And you can easily change those 4 to 5 videos into 9:16 and use them across those as well. So that's how you go ahead and actually edit the videos together. And sort of the 3 key elements are creators, scripts, and editing, as we just said. So the first part, just to summarize, you need to find great people who fit your ideal customer demo to represent your product and brand in the video ads. And then the second part, in scripts, you need to craft an irresistible script that is real, that's raw, and really resonates with your audience. You want to make sure that you're calling out the main issue that they're facing, the real problem that keeps them tossing and turning at night. And then the final part, editing. You need to edit the ads together in the right way so they don't look like ads and just look like native content on the platforms. And so that's sort of the 3-step process on how you actually go ahead and create your CGC video ads. And it's a super easy process. And as I said earlier on, the great thing about CGC video ads and this sort of raw style of creative is that it's cheaper to make, it doesn't take as much time, and you don't need a whole bunch of video experience just to make them. And it's a complete asymmetry. You can spend less time, less money, and have less experience and make video ads that outperform your competitors who are spending 5, 10K on a commercial production to make these, super high quality video ads when realistically people aren't watching them most of the time, or realistically your video ads are actually going to outperform those if you do it right. So that's the great thing about them. That's why we always recommend this sort of raw style of creative, because if you're just getting started or you're scaling up and you really need better content because you find that you're hitting ad fatigue and you're finding that every time you try and increase your budgets with your old creative, your ROAS just goes from amazing high to crushing low and just plummets overnight. And so by creating this CGC style of video ad, you can create more of it, you can create it faster, and it will actually perform better from what we've seen. So again, that's a bit of a summary on how to make this incredibly high converting video ads in the CGC format. So that's going to be it for this episode. If you did enjoy it, look, I would really appreciate it if you hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform. Or if you're watching the video podcast on YouTube, make sure you hit subscribe because we're bringing out a new episode every single day on everything e-commerce so you can stay one step ahead of the game and make sure that you're crushing your competition and getting incredible results. And if you do want to take this one step further and you want to learn how to create CGC video ads from scratch and you want a bit more of an in-depth breakdown, I've just finished putting together a 20-minute video, call it a masterclass, where you sort of walk through how to create these CGC video ads on your own, on a shoestring budget, even if you have zero video ad experience. So if you want to go ahead and check that out, go to www.choosecrafted.com/masterclass and you can watch that there. I'm sure that'll give you loads of value and it's perfect for someone who's just getting started and they want to start making video ads, someone who's maybe built some video ads before, but they just haven't worked. Or if you're scaling up, you need more content and you just want to really take control of it and make some really high converting video ads consistently and predictably know that if you're going to make it, it's going to work and it's going to perform really well. I suggest going out and checking that video. So with that being said, I appreciate you coming along on this episode today and I'll see you in the next episode.